Well, brothers and sisters, it's Monday, January the 15th, on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The story I'm about to bring you, they're calling an act of disobedience, where a dozen kind-hearted people were arrested for simply feeding the homeless. The attack on the homeless continues.
In El Cajon tonight, over a dozen people were arrested for feeding the homeless in a public park. The arrests come in the wake of a newly enacted city ordinance. KUSI's John Soderman joins us live from Wells Park with the details. John, what happened?
Well, they were arrested, but they weren't taken to jail. They were given citations, but it is the same thing as being arrested. But we begin with this announcement by an El Cajon police sergeant.
I'm here to say that on October 24th of this year, for 2017, City Council passed an ordinance that you are not allowed to food share on public property. This park is part of city property, so you're not allowed to food share. If you guys continue,
no, we are allowed to food share.
We can food share with you because you have an address.
It's a discriminatory law. That part right there.
Yes, you guys continue to food share on public property, which is a city park. You guys are subject to arrest.
And then let the arrest begin in the form of those citations. That's because these folks with a group called Break the Ban started feeding the homeless. Now, the reason they're protesting this is because they say the way the ordinance is written, you can't feed the homeless in a public park, but you can feed people at a birthday party, and they say that's just wrong. And this comes in the wake of the city's concerns over the Hep A outbreak that has killed over 20 people in San Diego. But anyway, they say these acts of civil disobedience were motivated this weekend by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Martin Luther King told us this. He said, if a law is morally wrong, you're obligated to reject it. So yes, it's absolutely connected to Martin Luther King and what he does. So following in his footsteps and not comparing myself to him because he's a great man. I'm just a guy causing trouble. It's a morally corrupt law. It's a morally corrupt ordinance with no basis in scientific fact. They're throwing hepatitis A out there to scare.
Now, this is the ordinance as it's supposed to here in the park, and it mentions nothing about the homeless. It just said that food sharing for charitable purposes is against the city ordinance, and that's where people say it's tantamount to feeding the homeless. And then at the bottom of the sign, it says birthday parties and other social gatherings do not apply to this. Now, back here live, over a dozen people arrested. They face, we're told, up to $1,000 in fine and as long as 6 months in jail. They're going to do it again in 2 weeks. And they actually told the police, hey, we're going to be back in 2 weeks. And then in a couple weeks after that, they're going to do it right outside a city council meeting. So this is a very aggressive group. They have representation legally. They have 3 or 4 attorneys, and they say they think they can beat it.
Thank you for watching, and please share this video with everyone. All the links below to how you can support our ministry and outreach, our urban outreach to the homeless, will be below, right above where you leave your comments. Thank you. God bless.